Thanks for joining the Real Mom Gang podcast, where 4 new moms bonded over their obsession with baby classes and keeping it real. Here's your hosts, Amanda, Chantel, Jenna, and Lauren. Okay, so we're back again for another week of, how was your week?
So my mom's visiting in town from Montreal this week for 2 weeks. So we went to the mall to go waste some time. And she was like, we were in the line waiting to pay for something. And she's like, oh, Preston has some dirt between his eyes. And then I looked between his eyes and she's like, yeah, look at the dirt. It was his unibrow. Yeah, so that was my story of the week. I was like, Mom, and then we went to the brow bar. We walked by the brow bar, and as a joke, I was like, oh, how much to wax his unibrow to the girl? And she was like, she probably gave you a look. I was like, I'm kidding. I'm like, he's too young, right? And she's like, yeah.
Like, really? But really, how much would it be?
Really, it's starting to look like dirt. Like, how old do they have to be to get an eyebrow wax?
Oh my God. I don't think it's that bad.
No,
it's cute.
He's adorable.
It's cute. It fits him. He wears it well. Yeah. So that was my story. Yeah. Anyway, how about you guys? Any?
Well, Austin fell off the couch on Monday. No matter how many times you've heard the stories from your friends, and you're warned, I was changing his butt. And I just for 1 second went to go grab a wipe, and he's moving and flipping himself so fast. He flipped himself right off the couch, face planted into the ground. Started screaming right away, picked him up. There's blood coming out of his mouth, blood coming out of his nose. It was so scary. So I took him to the urgent care, and he was in such good spirits still, which was amazing. He's such a happy little guy. But they checked him out, and the doctor was kind of concerned he might have broken his nose, just because there was so much swelling and his nose took the brunt of it. But he felt it all, and we will go once most of the swelling has gone down now. But once it's fully down, we'll see his family doctor just to double check. But
he looks really good.
Yeah, he looks a lot better. It was so scary though, and now we're never using a couch again or the change table again. We're just changing his butt on the floor.
Yeah, Eric and I after that we were like, okay, now it's official. We're changing her on the ground because she's the same way. She 1 second later she's flipped over. She loves to flip over on the change table.
Yeah.
And now it's just okay, there's
They change so fast. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Like Chloe this week, even she can now climb a full flight of stairs.
Yeah.
And I was like, I knew she could climb a couple stairs, but the other day, Jordan had gone upstairs and was like, Chloe, and so she goes over to the stairs. And I was watching her, and I thought, I wonder how high she'll get. Oh, she did the full flight of stairs, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. So yeah, things change really quick.
Really fast.
Stuff on things pretty quick.
Yeah.
She's very observant.
Yeah, she is.
She's quiet usually, well, in front of us anyways,
Yeah,
but you can see she's just watching and soaking it all up.
Yeah, it's so
And
and then we get home and she's not quiet anymore at all.
Yeah.
And she's like, I gotta get all of this out. She's screaming and talking. Oh yeah, there she goes.
So this week is all about then versus now. So things that our parents would do, did do, versus what we do now. Some of it has changed because of obviously, they've done research and things needed to change. I think a lot of things have changed because of social media. Some days, I really wish that we're not being moms in the day and age of social media with the mom shaming and, Susie in California says you shouldn't do this, but, you just never know. So
yeah. And everyone has an opinion. You post something or you read something and then all of a sudden you read the comments and it's there's 20 different opinions and people are like, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it right.
It's tough.
There's a lot of info coming every which way.
Follow your gut, your instincts.
Yeah, exactly.
You feel, and you know your baby better than anyone else.
Yeah.
So if it feels right and it's working for you.
Yeah, and try not to go to the internet too much, especially Google MD.
Yeah.
My child's dying.
So I don't know about your parents, but my parents smoked. And I remember them smoking in the car and in the house. And it used to drive me crazy. I remember being in the back seat, trying to cover my mouth and be like, oh, gross. And them just being like, oh, don't, it's my car, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But now it's I can't, I can't imagine like people
now you should
smoking.
be like feet away from your car if your baby's in the car. I remember my parent. Well, my mom wasn't really a partier, but my dad was always a partier and have his family over for special occasions, and everybody would be drinking and smoking. And in the winter time, with all the windows closed, we were just in a small apartment, and everybody would chain smoke because they were having many beers, and the house was like foggy. Like you open the window and you see the smoke just like escape.
Well, even restaurants used to be like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, airplanes, restaurants.
Yeah.
Remember when like they finally had the part of the restaurant that was non-smoking and the part that was smoking, and it was like 2 feet away from each other?
Yeah, you're like, how is this?
One table
dividing
side
the
by
space?
side.
Yeah, it's great. Now you wouldn't dare like smoking with your kids in the house.
No.
Or in the car.
Yeah.
Well, now isn't it like
It's
you
illegal,
can't even
I'm pretty
smoke
sure,
like
yeah.
around parks and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like or playgrounds. There's always like designated areas where you can go. You can't just like smoke when you're outside at the zoo walking around.
No.
Like even if you're outside, you
Yeah.
need to go to like a designated area.
Yeah.
And I know even like when someone's smoking like outside and I'm like walking by them, I like walk by them super quickly with Callie. I'm like,
Yeah.
don't breathe.
Yeah.
But it's funny how like paranoid we are about it when we used to like just sit in it.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
Exactly.
and, yeah.
That one time the
change for the
better, but
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
My
So
parents
amazing.
were never smokers, but like they did like to have people over, and they like to do
Like and
they
people
always
would
celebrated like Halloween and New Year's, and every time they like throw a big party at our house, and of course like you're surrounded by like your parents are both wasted and taking care of like their 4 kids,
Yeah.
and there's all these kids, and all of the parents are just wasted, and nobody's sober. There's never like a
There's a
designated
designated
So true.
like
Yeah.
sober parent.
yeah.
And then I remember too, like, of course, like as we got older, but my parents would like go to like their friends and have like a few drinks. There was never the designated driver.
No,
That's
like
so,
yeah,
like,
no.
There is just like, oh, we'll be fine, and
Someone, whoever was the most sober, drove us home. I guess.
yeah.
Mind you, I do remember going home in a cab a couple times. So obviously they were looked at each other and were like, yeah, neither of us should drive, which is good. But I know that they obviously did drink and drive more than they probably should have, and now would have been probably way over the legal limit.
Oh yeah, now that it's like 0.05.
It's like a drink.
Yeah, which is a drink.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I remember as soon as we turned, I think it was 16 or maybe even 14 when we got our learners, then we were like the drivers for
Yes.
the parents.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
like the parents would drive there, and
Wanna
then it would
pick
be
me up?
like the kids would be like, okay, so like you're driving home because times
Yeah.
have changed.
Yeah.
Though, like if you have your learners and the driver is drunk,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're still
Same
not
thing.
allowed to
No.
drive.
Yeah.
You
With your
can still
learners,
get a
yeah.
ticket.
No,
that
not
way
with their
because,
learners. Yeah.
Yeah, the driver is
I would like to
Supposed to
hope
be
that they
good.
might have some
Supervising
leniency though. Like I bet you it depends on the cop that pulls you over. Like if you're like, listen, I was too impaired to drive, so I let my son drive, who's 16, has been driving for this long, blah blah blah. Like it was either that or I guess it's probably still illegal, but
or call a cab.
yeah, that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Please,
Please, yeah, I love
So
this.
many
Please.
different things.
I remember, speaking of cars, my aunt, she had this beautiful, it was a Barracuda, I can't remember what year it was cherry red, like sports car type thing, and it was her baby, and I remember, and she didn't have kids, and they just weren't really huge kid people. She loved us to death, but like, just,
Wanted to be
yeah, she was like, you're one young,
Yeah.
cool aunt or whatever. So she took us to the beach. So we were having this big family, like, camp out thing at these cabins. And she took me and my sister to the beach down the road. And we played and stuff like that. And then when it came to leave, she looked at us and was like, oh, shit, like, these kids are not coming in my car.
They're
So
filthy.
they're filthy. They've got sand all over them. They've been in the ocean. There's water, blah, blah, blah. So she put us in the trunk.
What?
Oh my god!
So we pull up to like the camping area where my mom's pretty laid back now, and over the years she like really let her guard down. But when we were younger, like we weren't allowed to look like cross the road without like phoning 10 times, looking both ways.
Yeah, my
Like,
family was like
she
that.
was
like that,
super wound up, and so we pulled in, I guess, and we could hear my aunt, and they were like, "Where's Crystal and Jenna?" And she's like, "Oh, they're in the trunk."
Like
My mom-
closed in
What?
trunk, like
Yeah,
And
no,
was that
like-
your mom's sister?
My mom's brother's wife.
Oh, sweet.
We thought it wasn't a very far. It was like, I think a couple blocks from what I remember, but it was still, we were in the trunk of a car. Like, yeah, it wasn't like,
Great.
wasn't like
That's
our
a fear of
SUVs
mine,
or
though.
anything like that.
You probably thought
We
it
thought it
cool,
was
like, as kids,
awesome.
you're like,
We thought it was so
yeah.
fun. I just remember my mom's face. She was like not impressed, but she didn't want to get her car dirty.
Oh my
Wow.
god, that's so
Wow.
funny.
Yeah, that was terrifying me. Like, I think I've watched too many like criminal shows.
Yeah.
Like, I would freak out.
Yeah,
That
now
was
I
so
would.
overwhelming.
And I can't imagine like now putting one of the kids in the trunk.
Oh my god.
Or like, but you used to, like, if people had a station wagon or whatever, you used to go in the very back, like with no seatbelts, or the back of a truck, like in the
Oh,
the box of the truck
That's
with
true. That's
like-
I'm pretty sure I've ridden the box.
Oh,
of the truck
100%.
because
Oh,
of-
well,
Yeah.
you were like using your
car potty.
Yeah,
car
just
potty
like,
in the back
not
of
a
the trunk.
seatbelt.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, you have to
You
watch
listen to
listen to
the
the
last
last
episode.
episode about Chantal's car potty.
Yeah.
I think you said something. You had something about driving, or no?
Not driving, but I am like on a food topic. I remember like my parents would
Yeah.
always be like, you have to finish everything on your
Oh,
plate.
yeah.
kind of thing.
Us too.
And that's something I would do differently with Callie, because like when you're full, and you
Yeah.
can't eat anymore. And I know everyone says like 1 or 2 more bites, you gotta keep going, and I get the point too. Like sometimes they say they're full and like 10 minutes
They haven't
later
even
they're
had a
hungry,
bite.
but they want dessert.
Yeah.
And like it's different that way. But my parents were like so strict with that we weren't allowed to leave the table until our plate was done.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that meant you spent the night at the table,
Oh.
or you were at the table until your food was done. And I remember like we tried to like think of so many different ways to like
Flush it down the
figure out
toilet.
how to like flush it down the toilet.
Put it in
fast,
the
so we like
plant
stuff
next
our
to the
mouths full
table.
and then be like, I need to be food. And then we like run to the toilet, spit it in the toilet and flush it. They caught on to that, so then we stopped doing that. And then we started to fill our pockets. So we'd like take our mashed potatoes and like peas and stuff and like reach under the table and like put it in our pockets of our pants. And we would forget about it and not say anything. And my mom would go doing the laundry. And she like, our pants would be like crusted with peas and potatoes. And it was all like hardened to our pants. And she's like, what the hell is happening? And it's funny too, we had like a 30-pound cat because that cat was like a dog and would pretty much eat anything. So we'd like accidentally drop everything on the floor and our cat would like come and pick it up and eat it.
Yeah.
And she was so huge, like you would roll her onto her back and she couldn't flip back over to her feet because her fat would stop her from like fully going over. And it's because we literally fed
Fed
her
that
everything.
much.
And like, what kind of relationship to food that like would have created for you guys? Like such
It was, and like it was hard too because we didn't even get to portion our own plate.
Right.
They would portion our plate for us. So like when they're saying you have to finish your full plate, well our stomach isn't the size of yours. So like
Yeah.
when you're filling this plate up, like there's no possible way that you're gonna be able to finish it. But of course they're like, you know, so many kids would be happy to
Oh,
eat
yeah.
everything.
That was our parents' thing. There's kids starving and out.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, how is me
No, and then,
eating this helping that situation? I
and then we
don't
would
get
say,
it.
okay, give it to the kids in Africa.
Yeah,
then.
like ship it over there.
I remember my mom wasn't like that, but my dad would tell us that we weren't allowed to leave the table unless we finish our food, and my mom would like sometimes sneak it and throw it out when my dad wasn't looking. But I remember my dad grew up poor, and I remember him saying like, when I grew up, we used to have spaghetti with tomato juice, like just spaghetti with tomato juice. That was our
Or
meal
ketchup.
growing up.
Spaghetti with
Yeah.
ketchup.
Yeah, and we were like, it's not that bad. He's like, I'm gonna make it for you guys for supper, and you're gonna see it. So we made it one day for supper, and
You
me
liked
and my
it?
sister were like, this is delicious. And he's like, fuck. Not exactly where I was going with
No.
this.
See, I love ketchup because it's like
Sugar.
sugar in a bottle, so
Yeah.
it'd be totally fine. And it's funny how like things will just backfire on them. When
Yeah.
it's like, actually, this is great.
Yeah.
What are some other things that
Well, even like little things like differences in like having a landline with like a long cord where if you need some privacy, you've got to just like pull it around the corner and hope that it doesn't unplug. Whereas now we just have our cell phones and we can just go wherever.
Oh yeah.
Or if you
Or,
heard
like,
somebody
the
else
internet.
pick up the other line
Yeah.
and you're like, get off, I'm on the phone.
Like, Crystal, I'm talking. Or like, yeah, gosh, what about? Well, even just like even the sleeping habits. Like my sister's youngest is 10, and I know with her first, who's now 18, like you were supposed to put them on their stomachs to sleep, and now it's like no, you put them on their backs to sleep.
Yeah.
Like there's just like so many changes in that way.
Yeah, I remember hearing that too when we had her, and right, you hear all this stuff, put them on the back, put them on the back. And then my aunt was like, oh, we were always told to put them on their stomach. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and it wasn't that long ago that it
things have
changed. But it's just from like research and stuff like that.
And who knows, in another 20 years, whatever,
They'll get
I'm
back
sure
on the
it'll be
back.
totally different again.
Put them on their head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law did like a little nursery for him in her room, and she's like, oh, I got the cute little comforter blanket with the matching bumper pads and the matching
yeah.
pillow, and I was like,
Yeah,
none of that can go in there. And she's like, what do you mean? Like Josh had like 100 stuffies in his crib and this and that, and it's like, no,
That's a
you,
huge
Yeah.
no-no.
Yeah. And I'm sure, like I know a lot of people still do.
because they still sell the bumper
They still,
pads.
which is kind of frightening
always would
and not
surprise
really
me.
fair because it should be illegal, like to sell things that they've proved are dangerous. And of course, some kids get by fine, but why take that risk? I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, it's just not
Yeah.
worth it. He sleeps fine with nothing in his crib, and
Yeah, like a sleep sack. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
sleep
think
sack.
sleep sacks back
Or a
then
thing.
existed.
No.
And now it's like, and it's so much better if he rolls around in the night or whatever. He always has a blanket on him.
Yeah, it's like a wearable blanket.
Yeah.
It's comfy and they like it. And
Another one is I was told when he wasn't sleeping through the night, like just put some pablum in his bottle.
Yeah.
He'll sleep all night.
no, that's
Like
not-
this kid eats more than I do, and he still doesn't.
Yeah,
sleep.
and of course, probably one kid one day they probably fed him that, and then he slept through the night, and they're like, "Oh yeah," but
It
it's
works.
actually
It's
not
not
a
the
thing.
trick.
Yeah, it's not a thing. Or like when they're teething and whiskey on the lips.
Oh, yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, I've been tempted. I'm not gonna lie. There was a night where there's been a couple nights
When
where
My
nothing
parents
else
let
works.
us have sips of stuff, like, because
Oh.
they knew we wouldn't like it. So when we were little, we were
Yeah,
like,
of course.
oh, can I have a sip? They'd be like, sure, try it.
Yeah.
And we'd be
Yeah.
like, ew,
Yeah.
gross.
My sister's daughter, though, she actually liked the taste of beer. So they did that. They're like, yeah, sure. And then you had to be careful. She'd see a can and she'd like beeline for it and then try to drink it. Yeah.
we actually had one of our family parties back in the day when you used to take a picture and you had to wait for it to get developed in order to see
Yeah.
it. And they got this picture developed of my dad and his sister, and I'm in the background. I must have probably been about 1 year old, and I had a bottle of beer, like just like you just see me in the background, just like taking the last sips out of the beer.
Little did they know that was your future.
Yeah, exactly.
Now
Look what happened here.
I remember for like as long as I can remember, I've always walked to school. And our school wasn't like down the street from us.
No.
It was like 10 blocks
Yeah,
away.
at least.
And I know like I had older sisters, so my parents felt pretty comfortable
Yeah.
like having us all walk together. But like, yeah, they were never worried about us just leaving the
No.
house on our own and like these little kids just walking 10 blocks to school.
Yeah.
Whereas like now, like my sister lives, like my niece lives like a block away from her school. My sister still walks her to the front of the school, makes sure she gets
Gets
through
in
the
there.
doors before like anything. And same like my parents growing up, like as kids, we could just leave the house and go play and run to the park or go down by the creek or go climb trees.
We used to play outside till it got dark, and that's when we knew it was time to
When the
come home.
streetlights came on.
Yeah.
We were like climbing over fences, like doing whatever. And yeah, they had no way of getting a hold of us. You just came home when you thought it was time to come home.
Yeah.
I didn't have a cell phone until I was actually like 19 almost.
Yeah.
And my mom used to drive her crazy because I would forget to call when I got to a friend's house, like
Right.
using my landline.
Yeah.
So I just like go after school to someone's house, stay there for dinner, come home like late
Well,
at
your
night.
mom's
My
like,
mom's
is she missing?
where the hell were you? I have no idea where you were. You need to call me. And I used to always be like, Mom, you're such a like stress face.
Oh,
like
yeah.
calm down. Like I'm
I was
fine.
just at Sarah's house or
But
whatever.
now
but,
I
like,
just
now
think
you get
about
it.
like if that was Callie and she forgot to call me or like tell me where she was, I'd be like calling the police. Like,
Yeah.
my daughter's missing.
Yeah.
She hasn't
Especially
called
these
me
days.
or like talked to me in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, she hasn't talked to me. in
She's
2
not
hours.
answering her texts.
yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's like, I don't know. Like,
It'll be
some of
totally
me
different.
doesn't want to have like a phone too early, but some of me like
I
want
agree.
her to like have a phone so that she has it for emergencies.
My
or
parents
she-
bought me a phone for emergencies, but this was back in the day when you couldn't go on the internet on your phone. So
Yeah.
what else am I gonna do besides call my parents
It's
or
like
call a friend or
That
something?
or games, right?
Yeah.
It was like
Oh,
the
yeah, like-
basics. Like you would have your games to play, or you could use it for. a
But
phone
nowadays,
call.
giving a kid a phone, it's like they have access to
So
the
much,
internet
yeah.
and
I had a pager, so then you'd have to find a payphone,
Oh,
which they don't really have anymore.
no, I haven't seen one
they
for
do.
so
Well,
long.
well, when I was in Montreal just 2 years or last year, they had payphones.
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe
But
not
they're hard to
everywhere,
find.
50 cents.
Yeah, and they're just harder to
Yeah.
find, right? Before they used to be everywhere.
But
So
now
yeah,
you go to any business like and just be like, "Can I use your phone?"
yeah,
Right? Like
yeah.
I'm at Subway.
Most
Can I use your
people
phone?
would let you. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm worried for myself because I feel like when Callie's like, I'm gonna go ride my bike, I'll be like, where are you riding your bike? Let me know the exact area you're
Make sure I
gonna
can
be in."
see you.
Like,
See, my
yeah.
parents were like that. It was very much like
Oh really?
they would walk us to school, or like if we wanted to ride their bikes, we would ride our bikes, and then my dad would like drive a block, park, and like watch us ride
Oh,
by,
hilarious.
and then like drive another block, park, watch us ride by.
Did you grew up in Calgary?
Yeah.
Maybe that's like I grew up in a really small town, so it
I
was
grew
like
up in a-
yeah, it
Oh,
might
okay.
might make the difference. I don't know.
Yeah,
I grew
'cause
up
my
in a
parents were
city
like,
and-
just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
No, my
Later.
parents weren't like do whatever you want. My mom was very cautious of what we did, but like we were allowed to like ride our bike around the block.
Yeah.
It wasn't allowed.
Yeah.
My mom was really strict, but we still like if she knew we were playing in this little forest beside the house,
Exactly.
or she knew I was at Jacqueline's house down the
Yeah,
road,
yeah.
or
Exactly.
things like that.
Yeah, like we would play with friends, like, you know, like across the alley,
Yeah.
like or
Yeah, I
whatever,
feel like
we'd
my
play
parents were like,
outside.
you have little legs, you're not gonna leave this like suburb.
Yeah, they were
Somewhere
very
in
much
the
there
suburbs.
limits,
Yeah, there's
like, on
somewhere
how far
around.
you could go.
Yeah.
Like it was like there, we lived at the end of a cul-de-sac, and it was like kind of a big hill, and like 3/4 of the way down the hill was like a big crack in the road. So
Oh,
that was
like
you
the crack.
couldn't
Don't
go
pass
past
the
the
crack.
Remember that playing it when you were kids? Like don't step
Break
on the
your mom's
crack.
back.
It'll break your
Break your
back.
back.
Break your mama's back.
Yeah, break your mama's back.
Yeah.
Yes. You had to jump over
Something
them.
like that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
how
yeah.
your mom told you you could eat, you had to eat your
Oh
crust.
yeah. So my mom, she used to always say, "Eat your crust; it'll make your hair grow." And so I always did, like pizza crust, bread crust, whatever, because I wanted nice, long, luscious locks. And
Look, your hair's beautiful.
Yeah, you do have good hair.
one day I said,
It works.
my husband Jordan, we were eating something, and I think he left his pizza crust, and I was like, "Eat your crust, and it'll make your hair grow." And then he gave me this look, and when he gave me the look, I realized like all these years my mom had been lying to me.
But don't you think it's almost true because you have this thick, beautiful hair, and Jordan has
Your
like.
mom might be onto something. Yeah. Maybe she knows.
Poor Jordan. Jordan listens to our podcast. Babe, she thinks your hair is
Your hair is
awesome.
thick and
It's
luscious.
thick, luscious.
Beautiful. No, you have great hair,
Yeah.
but like nobody has like Jenna's hair. So
I've got a lot of hair. So yeah, maybe it was a thing. I'm gonna go with it though. There was something else too. I can't remember. And Jordan was like, again, like, "No, babe, your mom was lying to you." I was like, "Oh,"
I mean, I've always heard the one about carrots for your eyes. I think that's
but that's
a real
true. Yeah.
thing. But
Yeah, I've heard about the carrot.
Or what about like when you were watching a movie? Even watching a TV show, and there would be commercials, and then you'd have to go pee, so you'd run on the commercial, and then your sister or whoever would be like,
You'd
"It's
be like,
back on."
it's on, and you'd like
It's on.
hurl over the
Yeah.
couch.
that's when you power pee.
Power key, yeah. And now you just like pause it, rewind it. Like there
Yeah.
aren't commercials. Like
I
all these
remember
things.
growing up, like we never had like cable or actual television. Like we were all about just the movies.
Oh yeah.
And we had hundreds and hundreds of like Disney movies, and that was like our thing. But like
Oh yeah.
having to rewind and
Before you,
pause
yeah,
and, like
or rewind before you return it.
Yeah. Be
to,
kind,
like,
please
Blockbuster.
rewind.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do actually was go to Blockbuster or the video store, whatever you had in your town, and look for movies. Like that used to be half of the night, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
you go, you you get your snacks, you go through all the aisles, be like, oh, I like this one, and your sister would be like, I want this one, or yeah, and
no,
then you
bitch,
just like,
we're
no,
watching this.
yeah, Mom said only one, and it's my turn. But yeah, that was like part of your evening was to like go to the video store and find out what you were gonna watch, and yeah, it was
One of the things I really liked doing as a kid, because I've always loved music, was to listen to the radio and like put the tape in and record it. And
Make your
I'd
own
hear a
mixtapes.
song and I'd be like, oh, I can't wait for that song to play again. And
Yeah, you'd have to wait,
by the radio.
or like the Much Music or whatever. Wait for the video to come on that you really liked, and like you'd see it and be like, oh my god, when am I gonna see it again? Like now you just like we're just such a instant gratification
Technology,
now.
oh,
Like
Sure.
it's crazy.
Like I wonder like how it is now with the technology. Imagine how it's gonna be when our kids get
I
older.
know.
I know,
it's gonna
I'm
be
like
awesome.
afraid. Like, I'm not a big technology person to begin with. So when she's like a teenager, I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna keep up with like what's out there, what like,
Yeah.
like who knows?
I'm
I'll
gonna
be
have
the person
to get her
that's
to
so
do everything. Block this, block that.
Yeah.
She's not allowed on this.
Yeah.
Thankfully, like the thing is with technology in our generation is it was a new thing and it was just kind of put out there. So there was a lot of like dangers and bad things
Right.
happen, but now they're becoming a lot more aware of that. So they're putting these little safety features on where you can block your kids from certain things or block the kids from certain times they're not allowed on the internet, and
Yeah.
so that's kind of a good thing. But
And
who
we're
knows where
pretty
it's
tech
gonna go.
savvy. Like imagine back in the day when we were becoming tech savvy and our parents knew nothing about internet.
Yeah,
computers.
that-
it
but
was
we're
so
learning all this in
new.
school.
That can
and through
happen, and
friends.
cyberbullying and cyber
Exactly.
stalkers and stuff like that. Yeah, I remember like having to unplug your landline phone and plug in the internet and then like dial up. It'd take forever.
Yeah.
And then you could,
Yeah.
that's the sound. And like, but you could still like barely look anything up. But it was like so neat, like to like find whatever you could look up.
That sound.
Yeah.
You
Ding,
just
ding,
like
ding, ding,
yeah.
Chantal, you were talking about we were talking about directions and like kind of the old school way of like maps and like being like, yeah, you go west down Highway 42 and like then you turn right and then at the brown house you turn left and blah blah blah. Like whereas now we can just put it into our GPSs, but like it sounds like your dad is like pretty old school.
Oh yeah, he still like loves to give you directions. That's like his thing. Like every time he's like, okay, this is where we're going. This is how you get there. You're gonna take a left, right, head south, turn on this road, and like such like crazy complex directions. And then he'll be like, don't worry, it's easy. Just listen what I'm saying. I'm like, please just give me the address, because if you just give me the address, I'm gonna put it in my GPS. I can get there no problem. And he'll be like, no, it's easy. Just listen. And I'll let him go on his like rants of like how to get there, and then like I don't listen to any of it, and then I just go directly to his wife, and I'm like, okay, can you give me the address so that I can actually like get to this place? And I remember like driving before GPS, and I used to look on Google, write everything in a giant black Sharpie on a piece of paper,
Yes.
tape it to like the
And if you
passenger
lost
side.
it, like
And if you missed a turn, you were like, I'm not coming. Like, I had messaged people, like, talk to people on the phone and be like, yeah, no,
I tried to get
can't
there.
turn myself around. I have no idea where I am. Like, this is
you have
not
to stop at a
happening.
gas station or something, use the payphone.
Oh, I used to get so mad, and I'm, like, an angry driver. For me, like, if I get lost, I get super stressed out, and then I'm just, like, done. And I've actually, this is so bad, but like I've had times where I've gotten so frustrated that I've just like stopped my car, got out of the car, and like swore a couple times and then got back in. And I'm just like, you know what? Like this is so bad. Like I need to like take it easy. Like who cares? You're lost. Like figure this out.
Yeah.
I'm also the type of person that like turns down the radio when I'm lost, because for whatever reason I can't like
It's gonna, like, help you
me
focus.
think. Yeah.
I do too.
If I'm not listening to music.
I get distracted
But
really easily.
there's nothing worse than like, yeah, if you can't find where you are. Like now, some of the people, like some of these suburbs, you take like 20 left and right turns to like get to this house, and I'm like, how did people ever find people's houses?
Yeah.
Like I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. Well, I think you just like your core was smaller. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
You would be going less,
less.
traveling less. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
places.
And I don't know how to read a map to save my life.
Oh no.
Like I cannot unfold the map and like tell you that I could like figure it out. I couldn't. There's no way. And I have no sense of direction.
Yeah, that would be hard. But
Whatsoever.
I think it's so funny when people still, like, I know people that still use paper maps, and they just refuse to use the GPS, and it's like, no, like, do you know how dangerous it is to have, like, this big piece of paper open and, like, trying to
you're
glance
driving.
down? Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
And also, like, when it's dark, to be able to actually read the street
Yeah.
signs, I'm like,
I know
no way.
Yeah, it's kind of old school, but like, you know, back then, like your dad would be the driver and your mom would be the
And
navigator.
And then they get in
I'm
fights,
like,
though.
Yeah. And like, thank God that we have GPS because Eric would be driving in circles.
Yeah.
Like, over
Well, and thank
over
God we
over
have
again.
GPS now because it's probably saved a lot of marriages.
Right? Yeah. Just
Yeah.
like, I can imagine like trying to like route Eric somewhere. He'd be like, "Are you kidding me?" I'd be like, "Let me drive." Like, well, I'll be the driver
You just
because
tell me
I
where to
can't
go.
read this at all. Like, I
can't
there's
read
no
it.
way. And I'd probably mix it all up. So.
Another thing that changed too, I find, is the whole eating thing. Like back when we were babies, it was just baby food, and now babies are starting to try like things that we're eating, and
Yeah.
you know.
And like the allergies, like it used to be over a year is when you would introduce like the big allergens,
The
like
peanut
eggs,
butter.
peanut butter, seafood. And now it's like, no, like you start that around 4 months, like the sooner the better. Like it's crazy how much it all changes.
Yeah, I think my mom asked me the other day. She's like, "Has Preston tried that? Like all the like this allergen?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, 4 months old, you tried that? And I was like, "Yeah, they told us the sooner the better, because then you can just rush them in and they're."
Another thing too, like listen to their cues. So it's not just like, oh, we're gonna like 6
Feed you
months.
now.
This is this.
Right.
Like
Right.
like now they're like, if they're showing those signs, go for it. Why not try it? If they're like hungry and like they're not satisfied with just your boob anymore or just the bottle
Yeah.
anymore, and they're like showing that like need for more food, then go ahead.
I think
try
back then it was very standardized. Like every kid starts eating baby food at 1 year old.
Yeah.
Every kid starts doing, and
We
now
used to say food before 1 was just for fun.
yeah.
But now it's like,
Now
no,
they
it's a
eat like
necessity.
pretty
Yeah.
much everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we all know like Preston would not survive.
I can't imagine if he wasn't eating it.
I could. Like,
Oh
like-
my God, there's no way. You'd be going through like 100 bottles a day.
oh, and like imagine these little pouches. He'd be like Jenna was
Oh, yeah.
telling us these pouches that, you know, like the baby pouches, and she was saying at Costco they had a pretty good deal on the pouches. And like the pouch has become Preston's like, I don't know, afternoon snack. It's not even
Not a meal.
it's not a meal.
He has like a 3-course meal.
Oh, yeah.
3 times a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pouch is the appetizer.
Yeah.
Like the snack of the day.
Yeah.
I know like there's so many things that we have now and we're very fortunate for. Like I know my mother-in-law always says like, we didn't have those when I was
Baby monitors.
Yeah.
or like the nursing
videos.
pillows
Yeah.
or and I'm like, but nursing pillow is such a like how did you not think of this?
Yeah, it's a pillow that you
It's
put
a
on your
pillow.
lap.
It's not even that advanced. It's not like this crazy,
Well, I wonder, like, did they use regular pillows? Like, is it just not the
they
circle
would just use
pillow
their
or
arms.
just their
I
arms?
can imagine using my arms.
Oh, gosh, what would they do?
I-
Like, they wouldn't get anything done. I guess they
You'd
did.
be stuck watching soap operas on
Yeah.
TV like all day, and I think that's why soap operas were such like a big thing.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Probably.
yeah.
And I always think about that too, like those late night feedings when I used to like sit up and then like go on my phone while she was feeding. At least I had something to do. But I'm like,
What did they do?
what did my mom do?
Just sat
Like,
there.
did she just sit there in the dark,
Yeah.
like, okay, come on,
Yeah,
or like.
Yeah.
I
She
was
might have put a TV on or something
Or
like
maybe,
that,
like-
but, like,
maybe they like sung to us more. I
Yeah.
don't know.
More
but
interactive.
more interactive.
Um,
Like sometimes I actually am like, oh, maybe the cell phone's not the best thing because sometimes I find myself like, I'll sit with Callie on the floor, let her play, but she doesn't want to play by herself, so I'll have her in my legs. But I'm on my phone, like,
Yeah.
da 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 da. And I'm like, maybe I should actually be like,
there's
Forced
definitely
to
pros
play
and
with
cons with
you.
that. Like, I try, if I'm feeding him, I'll be on my phone. Like, he's eating
Yeah.
and sleeping.
but even
Um,
that, they like say,
they say
that
we
they
should
should
Well,
be
if they're
eye
making eye contact, yeah, they're
Which
supposed to
I
make eye
never did,
contact.
so I don't think she's ever.
But sitting on the floor and playing, I do try to like leave my phone up somewhere.
Oh, see,
And
I'm
as he
like,
gets older, I don't like, and I don't think that there's necessarily anything wrong with it. I just really want to try to be a little bit more present as he gets older. Like, I don't want him to look over constantly when he's like trying to show me something and me be like something else. Yeah.
Or like,
Sorry.
I want to be like that too, like for my own self. Like, I want to make sure that like I'm not like 1 second,
Yeah.
I'm busy, or like, you know, that message can wait.
I was
Like,
even
want
thinking
to-
like implementing like when you first come home and until after dinner, like everybody puts their phones in a basket, and then like you have some family time, you maybe
talk
do a
about
chore,
your day.
you have dinner, and then he goes to bed, and then you know we can be
Bring
on our
up the
phones
phone.
then or something like
Because they also become more observant of like what you're doing. So
Yeah.
if they constantly see like you're playing video games or on your phone or watching TV, like that's how
That's-
they're gonna do everything.
and then the
too.
communication doesn't happen.
Mhm.
Well, I forget where I was the other day, maybe the grocery store or something, and this little girl was trying to talk to her dad, and the dad was on the cell phone, and he was trying to, I think it was at the gym in the parking lot, and she was trying to say, like, Mom, Dad, like, I did
Look
this
at
today,
this,
or
or
look
yeah.
at this, or look, and the dad was just on his phone, like, yeah, like, not even paying
Yeah.
attention, and the kid was old enough to tell that the
Yeah.
dad wasn't paying attention.
I
No,
try
there's
not
some
to judge
parents
too
like
bad
that.
because again we don't know, like maybe she's been like, look at this, look at this, look
All
at this,
day,
look at
and
this, look
he's
at this,
done,
look at
like-
this, look at this, look at
You
this.
finally
You
get
know?
that break.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's an important work message.
Yeah, or
you never
something.
know.
You
Right.
never know. So I try not to judge too much, but I know me as like a person, I would like to be a little bit more aware and present if I can.
Especially when they're like trying to like tell you
Tell
something
you
or
something.
show you something. Then yeah.
Yeah.
And when I'm like in, I don't know, I try to do it now. Like when I'm with friends or family, I try not, like I'll leave my phone in my backpack.
To
or
a
whatever.
fault. Like Eric can't even get a hold of you. He had to buy you a watch that
I
he
know.
can text
I'm
you
actually
on.
really bad with that because, like, you know, I'm out with someone if I don't talk to you at all. And I mean, I'll get back to the person when I can. Like
Yeah.
when I get home, I'll go check my messages, see what's going on. But if I'm with someone, I like to be present
Yeah. No, I get
because
it.
there's nothing worse than like when you're with a friend. And I hope this doesn't happen like with Callie because everyone's gonna have cell
Yeah.
phones. Where you get together and everyone's just on their phone, but you're like
Yeah.
you're together like to be socializing and
Yeah.
talking with each other, but you're talking to someone else on your phone. Like I don't get the point.
I used to work in this bar, and there was these two girls. I think they were like cooks at a local restaurant or something, and they would come in like every night after their shift, and they'd each order a blue. Eric's best friends, probably.
Yeah.
Light beer. And
what's a blue?
oh yeah, sorry.
Labatt Blue.
I was thinking like a special cocktail.
Yeah,
and then
me
they
too.
sit there
Sourpuss
in a booth, but they like turn themselves so their back was on the wall, and then their legs were like along the booth, so they were facing out to the bar.
Yeah.
And then they'd be on their phone drinking their beer, but like side by side, and wouldn't talk.
Yeah.
It was bizarre.
It's weird.
And there's nothing worse than like having like going out for dinner with someone and they go on their phone and you're like
You're like, what have I?
what am I doing
what am
here?
I doing?
I could just eat at home like this.
Yeah.
And I actually like one of my biggest pet peeves is when I'm trying to talk to someone and they're on their phone because I feel like
Like they're not listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not paying attention.
Well,
What
they're
am
not.
I even doing
Yeah,
here?
they're
then
not
they'll be like, oh, I heard what you said, and you're like,
No.
I need you to look me in my eyes when
Yeah.
I'm talking to you, and like be facing me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I like will just stop talking because then I'm like, okay, this is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and I'm kind of worried about like, Callie's generation for that. Like, they're all gonna be like, okay, play that at my house, and they're all gonna like sit in a circle and just be
On
on
their
their
phone.
phones. I don't know.
Yeah.
Will it even be a phone by the time they're? Maybe it's gonna
Yeah.
be something else.
See a
Like,
chip in their ear.
yeah. No kidding.
Oh, right. So
Yeah.
they're always turned on. They can talk to whoever.
That's
creepy.
Yeah.
That's actually.
But you don't know. Like,
You don't know.
It
Who
sounds
knows?
crazy. We
Who
would have
knows?
thought that.
We would
cell
never have
phones
thought,
sounded
yeah.
crazy back
Isn't
then.
there a thing where you can chip
Yeah, you
your
can.
child
Mhm.
so you can like know their GPS?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how like available to the public it is, but it is a thing.
Yeah.
I know
That's
we'll probably
weird.
have GPS on Callie's phone, so it's gonna be
Yeah.
hard for her because she'll be like, "I'm here," and we'll be like,
No, you're
No,
not.
no, no.
Yeah, I'm going to Chloe's house for a sleepover. We can see you're in Preston's bedroom.
Yeah.
and it's just
He'll
like,
still have a baby monitor in there when he's like 16. He just doesn't know about it.
Mom.
So I
You
can
know,
Nanny
see the
cam.
wall.
yeah. I don't know, like when we were all kids, we'd be like, "I'm sleeping at Jennifer's house," but
Oh,
really you
man.
were drunk in a bush somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I now our kids are not going to get away with that because we'll be like, no.
Yeah.
They'll find other
not.
things to get away with.
Yeah, they will.
And
for
I'm
sure.
just going to show up to like the party and be like,
Oh, well, one
Take it around
time, speaking of that, I told my mom I was at Elena's house for a sleepover, and we went to this place, we called it the bank, I think, or something like that, or the reservoir. It was, I think, a big water reservoir. It was this huge cement, building, and we would boost ourselves to the roof of it, get wasted, drinking old English beer, and 2 liters of Growers cider.
Oh,
And then try to get off the building and walk home. But we did leave, and I don't think we were walking. We must have been walking back to Elena's house. But my parents had this big, loud diesel truck, and you could hear it coming a mile away. And we're walking, and I was like, "Oh fuck, that's my mom." So I jumped into a hedge, but she had already seen us, I guess. Pulled out and was like, "Jenna, get in the truck." So she pulls me out of the hedges, and then I was in a lot of trouble. I was wasted. Or also another time, first time I actually smoked some weed.
oh my God.
I don't know if I should be talking about this on here, but whatever. And I came home, and I think my stepdad said something to me, and then they went out for dinner, but I was super paranoid. I only had a toke or something at this party. And but then I was talking to my friend on the phone, and we had this old, the old answering machines where it was in your house, right? So the answering machine had picked up on the landline, and so it was recording in the kitchen, and I was in the spare room or not spare room, the family room, talking to my girlfriend, telling her about it as my parents came home.
Girl, I'm so high.
Yeah, I could hear it in the kitchen. So then when I got off the phone, they called me into the living room, and I got grounded big time.
Man, I used to be such a bad kid. I used to smoke weed back then too, and I remember we would go to my basement inside the house, and we'd all smoke weed, a bunch of us, and so it'd be hazy, drifting up the stairs. And my mom would be like, "What is that smell?"
In your house?
Yeah, and we'd always be like, "We're burning incense."
And she fell for it?
She
And I
didn't
don't know
know.
if you guys ever made those you would take a toilet paper roll and then put dryer sheets and then blow your smoke into it.
No,
so it
because I never
smells
actually
dryer.
smoked weed. I just had a
no.
toke at a party one time.
No, I was a horrible kid, and I think I have it coming to me when Callie grows up. But yeah, we used to just make the funniest excuses for things, and yeah, we'd be like, "Oh, we're burning incense," and then it we'd always try to do the air fresheners and stuff.
I
like
never
that.
heard of that
I've
trick.
never. That sounds like it would be toxic.
Oh man, we did some.
Yeah, but back in the day, didn't matter.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true.
It's funny now though because now I'll know. When Callie's trying to talk to me,
Because
and
you've
she's,
done it.
she's drunk or a little
Yeah.
whatever. I'm gonna be like, I'm not stupid. And
Yeah.
I always
Well, our
wonder
parents
if my
did, too.
parents
And
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
there's something
Wasn't
that
born
you're
yesterday.
I think I would always I think I probably wasn't very good at this, but at the time I thought I was good at
Yeah, hiding
pretending
it.
I was sober.
Yeah.
When I'm sure they were
There's
I'd
nothing.
get home and think I was walking straight.
Yeah. Talking
Over
straight.
the curb.
Yeah. I had one girlfriend, and she used to always get sick, and we always used to stay the night at her house or whatever, so we'd come home drunk, and she would puke all over their driveway.
Oh,
But
God.
turns out she used to blame it on me. So she'd tell her parents that it was me, so they thought I was this
The worst
boozy
kid.
girl that just got wasted and puked all over their house.
But there was
Wasn't-
always that one friend who you can get wasted and their parents are so oblivious, and it was we'll just go to so-and-so's house and her parents will never know. That was your house, eh?
Probably.
Oh my god, it was.
Yeah.
Go to
Seriously.
Chantal's
Now
house.
people are let's go hang out at Chantal's house for sure.
Oh man. Well, on that note,
Yeah.
we hope you enjoyed our then and now stories. If you have anything, that's really changed from back then to now, or a funny story that, your parents did or you did that just wouldn't fly these days, comment on our social media. We're on Instagram @TheRealMomGang or on Facebook the Real Mom Gang. And we hope you have a fabulous Friday. Mom Gang out.
Bye.